But let's start off the driving with the first downside. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town, and then 22 on the highway with power outputs being 278 horsepower and then 265 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, you guys can see the venting there in the center, and then it has TRD Pro as well. And then coming down below, we've got the Tacoma's cool LED daytime running lights with the Pro logo there at the bottom, and then the LED headlights. And then with the turn signal, it's kind of like sequential with the lights. It's pretty neat. We got the fog lights down below. They are rigid fog lights, if you guys are wondering. And then the Heritage Toyota logo here, front and center, with the sensor just down below that. And then here at the very bottom, you guys can see the TRD skid plate. Now, if you're wondering, this has about 9.5 inches of ground clearance. And putting it all together, I am still a huge fan of the Tacoma's front end styling. So popping around the side here, tire and wheel setup is 265, 70, 16 on the front and over in the rear as well. We obviously have the TRD wheels and I mean tons of sidewall there with the tires. Now, being a TRD Pro means that we have TRD tuned shocks and suspension, Fox brand for the shocks, and these have similar performance to what you'd see in like a Gen 2, well, the first iteration of like the Gen 2 Raptor. Now, you guys can see pretty cool with the fender flares there. We got the Tacoma logo here on the side all blacked out, and then of course TRD Pro there on the bed. And putting it all together with the update they did in 22 to lift this truck a little bit, it just has such a cool stance. Now, I do quickly want to show the rear shock there. You guys can see the Tacoma still utilizes leaf springs, has a solid rear axle, and we've got the TRD exhaust. So here is our key fob. We have our unlock function, our lock function, and then the Toyota logo there on the back. Remote start, you just spam the lock button a few times, then hold it down. Now, popping into the bed area, notice that the tailgate is dampened with the lowering. We've got 990 pounds of payload capacity. If you're running with the TRD Pro, towing capacity is over 6,000 pounds. We've got this cool composite bed here in the back with an outlet down below. And then you guys can see we've got the mat as well with this Tacoma. Now, lifting up the tailgate, it does have quite a bit of weight to it. And then you guys can see TRD Pro yet again. We've got the Tacoma's taillights, which again, I think those actually look pretty sweet. Parking sensors here at the rear, and then you guys can see that receiver hitch. And finishing things up with the rest of the rear. Again, I think Toyota has done a really good job with the styling for the Tacoma. I mean, it's aged very well. Now, taking a look at the rear door panel, you guys can see the padding here on the side, and then our window control, and then there's a decent amount of storage down below. Now, taking a look at the seats with the Pro, pretty interesting texture all down the center of it, and then we do have the red stitching that's kind of like a Pro thing. Now, legroom here in the back of the Tacoma, it's okay, it's not the greatest, and then you guys can see we've got some cup holder action. And then headroom's actually pretty good back here. But before we move on to the next feature of this vehicle, we need to talk about today's sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Now, nobody wants to get into a car accident, an accident at their workplace, or, you know, slip and fall in front of a business, but sometimes it just happens to be a part of life. And I can speak about this from a place of personal experience because when I was 17 years old, I got in a really bad car accident where my car got totaled out. And because I didn't know anything about insurance companies or getting help by a law firm, I basically got completely screwed in the situation where I got no money for my totaled car and I was left without a vehicle. And this is where Morgan & Morgan can help out. They are America's largest injury law firm with over 100 offices, over 800 lawyers, and over 4,000 case staff that are all ready to help you out. Now, I know at this point you might be thinking, Ben, that sounds really expensive, but here is the deal. All of the court hearings, the research, the negotiation, and more are free unless you win. And so if you're involved in some sort of personal accident, whether it be a slip and fall accident, an accident at your workplace, or maybe a car accident similar to what I was involved in, then you might want to get help from Morgan & Morgan. And don't feel bad that you're going down the route of suing. I know a lot of people might feel guilty about this, but what you have to understand is you're not suing the person or the business. You're suing their insurance company that has billions upon billions of dollars. And so it's more about making sure that you get the compensation that you deserve. So again, if you're injured in an accident, then you can check out Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy, or you can give them a call at pound 529, which is pound law. I think that's so cool that they got that number reserved. But again, www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy. Let's get back into the review. Now, taking a look at the front door panel here, same textures we have in the back here. I'll zoom in so you guys can maybe see a little bit better. Lighting's horrible today. All of our window controls, front two are automatic. We've got our door lock and unlock, and then our mirror adjustment. And then the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. TRD Pro there on the headrest, and then you guys can see the texture all down the center with the red stitching. Power adjustments here on the side. And then pretty normal pedal layout with the rubber floor mat there. And you can see this for the cargo light for the stability control. That's for your camera system, and then the outlet to turn it on. And then the steering wheel is manually adjustable. Now, starting with the steering wheel, really nice padding all around. I like how it's like perforated here on the sides so you can get a slightly better grip. Some controls for the center stack. We got like our volume controls on the other side, voice command controls, phone controls. This does come with adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. I will say the adaptive cruise control system on this is actually pretty solid. Turn signal light stock, and then our windshield wiper stock. Now I've got this mostly analog gauge cluster here, which we do have a screen there in the center which will show us information like our fuel economy, for example, and that's like the vehicle info tab, but then we also have a bunch of other tabs as well. Please operate vehicles safely. That's so funny. But you guys can see like pitch and roll for off-road, which I will be taking this off-road. That's the plan. But anyways, good gauge cluster. Now the Tacoma does come with a 360 camera system, so look at this. Trajectory lines turn with the steering wheel. Got your bird's eye view as well. And then there was that camera button earlier. If I press that again, then it'll pull up with the front camera. Then you can see the side cameras. So good camera system. And then that leads us to the infotainment system. Shortcut bar here on either side with the buttons is what we'll call it. The system responds pretty well. It's not the most modern looking, but I mean, it's easy to use and it's got analog controls for most functions, so I like it. So we've got analog controls here for our heated seats, dual zone climate, and then you guys can see with our four-wheel drive selector right there, you've got four-wheel high and then four-wheel low. And yeah, it's all nice in this little area. And then of course for our blind spot monitoring, our ECT power, parking sensors, you've got that to open up the rear window and then some charging action. And here's the opening for the rear window. We do also have a wireless phone charging pad, some cup holders right here, shifter for that 6-speed automatic, parking brake, and then more cup holders. And then here's the center console, pretty standard stuff. It's got some USB action. And then I like the circular vents here on the dash. And then you've got some padding right there. And then pretty normal glove box. So first off, we've got a sunroof here at the top, and then at the top we also have our button to lock the rear differential. And then you guys can see this little dial here. This is for the crawl control and the multi-terrain select. So you basically have to be in four-wheel drive for this. But with the multi-terrain select, it's all your off-road modes, and the crawl control is basically what it sounds like. It's off-road cruise control, and you use the dial to control both of them. So this is the speed for the crawl control, and then this is the drive mode select for the multi-terrain select. So here's our window sticker for this Tacoma TRD Pro. You can see that almost everything is standard equipment. There's your base MSRP. We do have some options like the premium paint color. Anyways, total MSRP $51,229. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors do blind spot monitoring. And throughout the rest of the rear. And, well, let's set off. So, setting off in the TRD Pro. And like I said earlier in the video, I do plan, if time allows, to take this off-road. I have taken a Tacoma TRD Pro off-road before. It was actually the 22, which is the same as this. So I'm already familiar with the off-road performance, but you know, it's winter now, and so it'll be interesting to see, I guess, how this performs in some snowier conditions. If there's still snow out in the desert, we'll have to see on that. But let's start off the driving with the first downside. Okay, it's not that slow, even though I call them the slow comas. The biggest issue is this transmission. It's just not good. it's reliable, but like the 5-speed, and you guys know that I owned a 4Runner recently, the 5-speed in the 4Runner is so much better. Like, I just don't understand why Toyota, well, actually I do understand, it's fuel economy and emissions, that's why they went for the 3.5 and why they went for the 6-speed, but like, yeah, it honestly ruined the Tacoma in my opinion in terms of like the engine performance, because the 4.0 V6 with the 5-speed automatic, such a good combination, super reliable, and the performance is great. This, no, it's just not good. Also, I just realized I'm going under the speed limit, so I guess it is a slowcoma. It's slowcoma. You gotta speed up to get up. Ride quality, that was really good. Tire noise isn't too bad, honestly. Now, I will say another downside is the seats. They're kind of hard. Now, I'm fine with it because I'm 25 years old, but like, I imagine if someone had a bad back and they're like 50, probably not gonna like it as much. But I mean, I've put tons of miles on this truck and it hasn't bothered me personally, but that is a complaint I've seen from some people, and I can tell these seats are pretty hard. Now, some other stuff is just from like a daily driver usability standpoint. I really like the Tacoma because like the size of it, it gets decent fuel economy, so you've got good fuel range as well, and so it's overall it's actually pretty solid. I think it's a good daily driver, other than the transmission side of things. It's fine when you go partial throttle, but like when you go full throttle, or like when you have to get up like and pass someone on the highway, it's not good. doesn't like to play ball. That's the best way to put it, honestly. And so yeah, summing things up for on-road driving, I'm super excited for Toyota to update the Tacoma just because of the powertrain. Like, that is literally it, because everything else about this truck I think is great. Body on frame, solid rear axle, it's got decent amount of travel, so like when you go over, like the train tracks here aren't the best example, but when you go over bumps and everything, like it absorbs everything really well because of those TRD tuned Fox shocks, and because of the amount of travel this has, like it's solid. It's really good. So I think that the truck itself is great. I just think that the powertrain holds back the Tacoma a massive amount. Not in terms of reliability, obviously, because it's super reliable. It holds it back when it comes to performance, especially when you compare it to other mid-sized trucks now. I mean, like the new Colorado and Canyon have that turbo 2.7 4-cylinder. If you want something more simplistic, the Nissan Frontier has a 3.8 liter V6 paired to a 9-speed. That's what the Tacoma should be. The Tacoma should still be the 4.0 V6 in my opinion, and then just paired to a more modern transmission. Obviously Toyota won't do that because emissions and all the other stuff, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about the TRD Pro. I still think it's a great truck. I think that, for everything you're getting, it's pretty reasonably priced in today's world, because I mean, now with like the new Colorado, for example, this price point would buy you not even a fully loaded Colorado, whereas this is the fully loaded Tacoma.